The missing submersible in the North Atlantic Ocean was destroyed in a, quote, catastrophic implosion.
The tragic death of 5 people who died in a small submarine this week.
You have to certify. You cannot take people down. It's irresponsible.
The OceanGate disaster is now officially one of the worst tragedies in expedition history. How could a prestigious company with millions of dollars of backing, years of scientific research and high-profile clients cause one of the deadliest maritime disasters in history?
Once the pressure vessel is, you're certain it's not going to collapse on everybody, everything else can fail. Your thrusters can go, your lights can go, you're still going to be safe.
What went wrong with the company that was praised as being at the forefront of innovation? The story starts with one man, OceanGate co-founder and trust fund daredevil, Stockton Rush. Rush was born into a wealthy family in San Francisco in 1962, and he was always poised for success. His father was a descendant of 2 signers of the Declaration of Independence, and his mother was a descendant of million-dollar giving philanthropists. This wealthy upbringing gave him plenty of time to chase his childhood dream of becoming an adventurer. Using his father's connections, Rush got his pilot's license in 1980 at just 18 years old, becoming one of the world's youngest commercial pilots. He flew chartered planes in and out of Saudi Arabia while studying aerospace engineering at Princeton. He designed a high-speed ultralight aircraft and built his own plane from a kit. Rush's addiction to pushing the limits started young and only escalated. After graduating, he worked as a flight test engineer for F-15 Eagle jets before getting his MBA in business administration from UC Berkeley. He became a venture capitalist, using some of his family's vast funds to invest in tech startups and increasingly experimental inventions. Rush was a hobbyist scuba diver, and after his first trip in a submarine in 2006, he became obsessed with ocean exploration. He looked into purchasing a submersible, but couldn't, as he discovered that there were fewer than 100 privately owned submarines worldwide. Not one to be told no, he constructed his own miniature submarine, based on US Navy blueprints. Yet, he still wasn't satisfied. His sub could only dive 30 feet, and after failing again to find one for private purchase, he had a brilliant new idea: to start an underwater exploration company, which would make it easier to get a sub to his liking. He saw the success of Richard Branson, Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk in the space tourism industry and thought that he could similarly create a significant market for oceanic tourism. With that idea in mind, Rush founded OceanGate in 2009 with business partner and former captain in the Marines, Guillermo Sonline. 2009. The Antipodes. The initial idea for OceanGate was to create a small fleet of 5-person commercial subs to be rented out for researchers or tourists. Their goal was to open the oceans for all of humanity. Their first sub was called the Antipodes, a used 5-person vessel with a steel hull. In their first 4 years, the company carried out over 100 dives with Antipodes to locations around the coastal US. Passengers typically paid between $7,500 and $40,000 per person per excursion, depending on the trip. To improve the tourist experience, Rush hired expert marine biologists to come along on each dive. This was a humble enough start, but with his background and daredevil designs, Rush decided to push OceanGate past what had been relatively leisurely joyrides. 2013. New directions. In 2013, the company made a bold decision. Instead of relying on pre-existing tried and true subs, they were going to design their own. Their motive? To cut costs. That same year, Sonline left the company. He felt it was better to leave this engineering challenge up to Rush. OceanGate was now in uncharted waters. Their first custom-built submersible was the Cyclops 1, built in collaboration with the University of Washington and Boeing. Initially, they planned to make the hull out of carbon fiber, a relatively untested material in underwater design. but instead acquired a cylindrical steel hull from an older sub. OceanGate revealed their new creation in 2005 and moved their headquarters to a more advantageous location in Washington state. Everything was going according to plan. But again, Rush was not satisfied with this small progress. He wanted the biggest prize in the underwater world, the Titanic. The Titanic's wreck sits on the ocean floor some 4,000 meters or 13,000 feet below the surface of the ocean. That's almost 5 times the height of the world's tallest building, the Burj Khalifa. Only a handful of specialized vessels exist that can reach those depths where pressure is 400 times greater than at sea level. That means 6,000 pounds of pressure per square inch, enough to instantaneously crush any unprotected human. Rush wanted to do what those subs could do, but at a fraction of the cost. He began work on OceanGate's second sub, the Titan. But the engineering path to the bottom of the ocean proved difficult and was full of warning signs. The first such sign visible to the public came in 2018. Rush had hired a whole team of engineers to design this Titanic-bound sub with him, and in 2018 he fired one, David Lockridge, a pilot and director of marine operations for OceanGate at the time. Lockridge then sued the company, saying he had been fired for being a whistleblower and raising safety concerns.
Its hull, the part where the passengers sit, is made from carbon fibre with titanium caps at each end. Carbon fibre is used in airplanes and yachts, but not for deep-sea vessels.
He repeatedly said that more testing was needed and alleged that he was not the only employee who feared the safety of the vessel. He was denied access to documents about the Titan's specs he should have been able to see. Finally, in 2018, he was granted a meeting with Rush and his team. At the meeting, Lockridge discovered why he had been denied access to the viewport information from the engineering department. The viewpoint at the forward of the submersible was only built to a certified pressure of 1,300 meters. Although OceanGate intended to take passengers down to depths of 4,000 meters, OceanGate refused to pay for the manufacturer to build a viewport that would meet the required depth. Clearly there were issues with the submersible that Rush knew about, so let's look at the overall design of the Titan. OceanGate's website claimed that the Titan was proven to be a safe and comfortable vessel that could withstand the enormous pressures of the deep ocean. But the facts say otherwise. The first problem with the Titan was the carbon fiber design. This material was chosen because it was lightweight and less expensive than the tried and true metals traditionally used to make submarines, like carbon steel, which the US Navy uses. While carbon steel has long been used within the aerospace industry, it has not been proven to repeatedly withstand the 6,000 pounds of deep-sea pressure at the wreck of the Titanic. This carbon fiber design had never been used in this way before, and one crack or imperfection in the hull could doom the whole ship. Rush knew this.
I'd like to be remembered as an innovator. I've broken some rules to make this. I think I've broken them with logic and good engineering behind me. The carbon fiber and titanium, there's a rule you don't do that. Well, I did.
Only a years-long process of repeated dives, inspections, x-rays and ultrasounds could have proved over time how resistant the carbon fiber was. But Rush wasn't interested in waiting around to clear the red tape. The second glaring issue with the sub is not as widely discussed, the fact that it is cylindrical. When it comes to deep-sea exploration, most subs are actually spherical, because that shape provides a more even distribution of pressure. All you have to do is look at the submersible that James Cameron took down to the bottom of the ocean to see the obvious differences between them. In a blog post from February 2019, OceanGate admitted that the Titan wasn't classed by an independent group that sets safety standards, as most chartered vessels are, because its technology was so new and the company's innovation falls outside of the existing industry paradigm. It said there'd be a multi-year approval cycle due to a lack of pre-existing standards. OceanGate said that while classing has a safety value, it is not sufficient to ensure safety. And there were others in the industry who knew how dangerous it was. After Lockridge's lawsuit, multiple members of the Marine Technology Society worried that the company's experimental approach could result in negative outcomes, minor or catastrophic.
Concerns were also raised by engineers from the Marine Technology Society over the experimental approach adopted by OceanGate that could result in negative outcomes from minor to catastrophic.
But Rush would not budge. It was very clear that OceanGate was operating a submersible that was unsafe and that they had been warned on multiple occasions. But they went ahead anyway. And there was another problem with this particular trip. The terrible events of Sunday, June 18th wasn't the first time the sub had attempted to reach the Titanic.